Hi, friends. I just got back from a beautiful dinner with one of my good girlfriends. She's just a stunning woman inside and out. And of the many things we talked about, one of them was dating, of course. And I shared with her something that I haven't mentioned to you guys here yet. I think it's probably going to be a podcast episode in the future, but it needs to be mentioned. And it's a little bit harsh sounding, but if you can understand it and hear it without getting hurt or offended, or even feeling the hurt or offense come up, letting it kind of settle and move aside, and then listening to what I'm actually saying, this can set you free. So obviously, dating, beginning of a relationship, it's two souls, right? It's two human beings, it's destinies intertwining, it's all of these beautiful, magnificent things. And it also has a little bit in common with business. So in business, I'm of course talking about online business, but this probably applies across the board in many different types of businesses. If you're not getting the results you want, you have two options. And there's different ways of phrasing this, but essentially you either increase the value of the offer or you change the audience, right? So increasing the value of the offer could mean you add more things to the package, could mean you improve the qualifications or the results that you can get with the original offer that you're telling people that they're going to get, or somehow you're increasing what they're getting, right? Increasing the value of what they're getting. And I find that when I, mention this in the various ways that I have to friends before, sometimes that's the part where we're a little bit offended, right? Like, increase the value of the offer. Are you suggesting that I'm not already good enough? Not at all. But there's always ways that we can become more of ourselves, right? More of the best versions of ourselves. So I always find it funny that, as human beings, when we hear something like become a better version of yourself, it somehow hurts a little bit, as if we're not already good enough. And what we really want to hear is that we're already loved unconditionally as we are. And that becoming better doesn't mean becoming someone who we're not. It means becoming the fullest version of who we're capable of being and who we want to be, who we long to be, who we're designed to be, right? So you're not being someone who you're not. You're being your fullest and best self, right? So increasing the value of the offer in dating and relationships is all of the mental and internal work. Yes, it is also sometimes improving your appearance. That's a whole nother podcast. You can get offended if you want. I understand that can be very triggering for people. It's taking better care of your health. It's learning to love yourself so there's no energy of desperation or, oh my gosh, I hope they like me. I hope they make me feel like I'm loved. It's, my friend Eileen calls this in business, particularly leaning back, being leaned back. And the idea is, I don't need you. You know what I mean? I don't need you. And that might sound like, well, how would that increase the value of the offer? Well, when you're deeply secure in yourself and it's going to be easy for you to find someone that allows you to bring an energy to the table of non-desperation, where you're not demanding, you're not begging, you're not hoping, not even in the slightest in your energy. You just show up as the badass that you are. And if they can't recognize a great offer, then we move to point number 2, which is change the audience. So sometimes I see women and they're telling me they can't find a good guy. They're telling me they can't find the right kind of guy. They can't find the kind of guy they're looking for. And then they describe to me how they're going about finding men and the locations or the activities that they're participating in order to find guys are not what I would recommend, right? They're not getting them the kind of results that they're describing to me they want to have, right? And there's different goals in dating. You don't have to want a serious relationship. That's fine. But if you do, you need to get into a pool of people who are likely to be looking for the same thing. And there's places where you're likely to find them, and there's places where you're not likely to find them. And if you're not getting the results you want where you're currently looking for them, look somewhere else, right? So it sounds a little bit cold perhaps, but sometimes when we can get an objective view of what's going on, we can step outside of the emotional turmoil of feeling like this is hopeless and it will never work and I'm never going to find anyone, and instead say, okay, there's 2 factors here. One of them is me. Okay, where am I at? Do I have issues that I need to address? Should I be improving my health somehow? Do I need to be looking at, if you guys have been following me for a while, you may have heard me very slightly mention the beauty signals, which I will be heavily teaching on this summer. Do I need to kind of activate some more of the feminine beauty signals? Where am I at in my headspace? Is my heart open? Is my schedule open? All of these kinds of things, right? And then if that's, and that to me is a continual work, right? It's continual work. And it's never, again, as you guys know, as you've learned if you follow me here, it's never for the guy or to get a guy. This is from the pure pleasure and delight of being the fullest version of yourself, which makes every day fun, even if you're not with someone. Even if you are with someone and that day they're just not around. You have the joy of being you because you have done so much work on yourself that you're your own best friend. You're your own favorite playmate. You're your own, main confidant and advisor. Like, you have your own back, you trust yourself, you adore your own company. It's fun to be you. And that's because you've been increasing your value, if you will, or your health and well-being and excellence and high energy and high vibe, everything as a human being, right? And then you go find someone who appreciates what you're building, what you're growing. You're not asked to be perfect. You don't want to find someone who's asking you to be perfect. Trust me, find another audience immediately, right? But you're looking for someone who is on the same journey, okay? And if you're not finding those kind of people where you're looking, you got to look somewhere else. So it was a really fun conversation, but that came up and it's something that I will probably share more on in the future, but I just wanted to give it to you guys real quick because it was on my mind and before I go get ready for bed and I have all my makeup on, I figured I would share. Don't be discouraged wherever you're at in your relationship. And of course, this one's more for people who are single, but don't be discouraged. You're amazing. You're becoming even more amazing, right? Because if you weren't, you'd be watching endless funny animal memes, which I often do. So no judgment, right? Rather than on any kind of personal development account, following anybody who's helping you become the best version of yourself. So you're already on your way. You're going to get there and you're going to find someone who appreciates exactly what you're doing. And you're going to love them too. Okay? And I want to hop in here to follow up a little bit and remind you that the most important work is always on yourself. And there's many reasons why, but I'll give you a few very quickly. One is if you don't do the inner work and even sometimes the outer work, but definitely the inner work to create the best version of yourself, you can go look for different audiences all you want. Chances are you're going to continually run into the same type of person in whatever new audience you go find, right? Because you haven't done what's required to be able to hold space for and call in and be a match for. And I'm not even talking about in an energetic space, although certainly God rules energy and I certainly, I get that, but I even mean on a compatibility level, right? People know when someone is a good match for them. And so if you haven't done the work to bring yourself to your highest level, you're going to continually be meeting and attracting and considering as an option people who you don't actually want to be considering as an option, but that seems to be your only option, right? So then you tell yourself, well, I just need a different audience. So you go find a different group of people, and within that group of people, you attract the same kind of person, right? So the inner work of becoming the highest level of yourself possible, the highest value version of yourself possible, is always the most important work. And another great reason, if I can at all encourage you to invest the amount of time it takes to become the best version of yourself, is when you become an extremely high value woman, right? And I've talked about this in the past. I want to say it was maybe in November, and I'm going to begin talking about it again. But I did a training called Decode the Design, where I was talking about what elements of femininity make women both attractive, but also the total package, right? Attractive, irresistible, and the total package were the three kind of areas I was going into. And when you have leveled up in multiple areas like that, audience isn't even a thing, okay? Like, you just don't have to worry. In almost any room you walk in, there's a very high level of respect for and desire for you, and it's going to be attractive to the kind of man who's looking for that, okay? Of course, it's going to be attractive to the kinds of guys you don't want either, which is where selection and protection come in. But if you've been focusing most of your effort on building up your own inner value without shutting yourself off from being available or out there or open at all, right? Because I was thinking too that one of the ways that some of you might need to tweak and get a different audience is to be putting yourselves out there at all so people know you exist, right? Going from no audience because you're hiding to actually getting yourself out there is a change in audience, which will result in different results, right? But to do the inner work and the total picture work of becoming the highest value version of yourself, you're not going to have to worry about attracting people. That is so rare, quite frankly. Someone who's truly done all of the inner and outer work, and it's not like it's ever complete, but who's actively pursuing it and progressing on that path, okay? It's like, it's rare, I'm not gonna lie, right? And when you do that, immediately a man who's been doing the same kind of work is going to notice, right? Just in the same way that people who work out a lot notice each other, the same way that people who are, I don't know, super academic value each other. People find who they're compatible with. Hello, love. And so we can't help it, right? So if you're doing the inner work of becoming this incredibly high value woman and keeping your heart open, audience is not going to be an issue. We're going to get to move into the very important and less stressful, perhaps. Well, maybe not less stressful, but less depressing topics of selection and protection. But you're not going to feel like, oh, I just can't find anyone anymore. Because when you've brought yourself up to that level, like a lot of people want you, okay? A lot of people are going to be drawn to that kind of energy and full life health, okay? In a beautiful, feminine, open, humble, kind, fun-loving, life-loving, joy-giving package, right? And then we're going to sort the narcissists from the nice guys, okay? And figure out who is worthy of such a high-value woman. But if you are, if you're watching my last video and you're thinking, oh, I just need a different audience, just know that that is sometimes a defensive default that we go to because we're too afraid to look at where we have areas that could use a little bit of growth and love, right? And again, as always, this is never for the sake of or the intention or goal of getting a guy or hoping that you can make someone like you. Please don't ever bother to get into that energy. What an awful way to live. What an awful way to then go through the rest of your life. This is always to become the fullest version of yourself, in my mind, to glorify God. And because it's fun, and because all of life improves when you're the best version of yourself, okay? So just a little note, as I saw the messages and comments coming in, and the number of them that were like, different audience, I just need a different audience. I get it. And do you have walls up? And are you triggered by the idea and the practices of feminine beauty? And is your heart healed and open? And are you, emotionally healthy and aware of what an emotionally healthy and safe man looks like, right? There's so many different pieces to being this kind of glorious total package, high value female. It's always for you. It's always for God. And then you're not going to have to worry about finding interest, okay? It's not going to be a problem. Then we get to select well and protect you as you go through this beautiful journey of being a very highly desired, very high value, very just a beautiful full picture of a fully developed woman of God, okay? I love you guys. I hope you had a beautiful weekend. I had the most stunning day today. I'm going to put more pictures in my stories. I just kept taking palm tree pictures over and over and over, but I hope that's helpful. I send you lots of love on Valentine's Day Eve, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Good night.